mics are on, right?
Not now, not now they are. Yeah, you
Ready?
gotta push to talk.
I don't know what yours is set at.
Lions push to talk.
It's working okay?
Push to
All right.
talk.
Yeah, that's what yours is. Push.
Okay, I'd like to call the Newbury Township Planning Commission of June 12, 2023 to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item on the agenda, approval of the minutes for May 8th, 2023. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, Dale's abstaining. Okay, new business. We have no old business, new business. We have a couple items on the agenda. Driveway code restrictions in Bamberger subdivision final. In regard to the driveway code restrictions,
Let's take that second. Let's do
Second?
the plan
Okay,
first.
all right.
Yeah.
so we're talking about the 1665 Bamberger Road final minor subdivision. And if you could state your name and how you represent the applicant, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Planning Commission members. My name is Chris Hoover with Hoover Engineering, representing the plan for you this evening. Plan is a pretty straightforward type of subdivision. The property that's being subdivided is owned by Mr. Nick Nichols, who is actually the owner of Nick's 114 restaurant down in New Cumberland. But this farm is actually a farm that his father had acquired. Part of the property was used as part of the warehousing and development of the warehouse property. Some of the sewer is being discharged to a pumping station which is located on parcel, which is parcel C. But long story short, the property is composed of 3 separate parcels, 2 of them on the north side of Pottsville Road. Bamberger Road actually kind of splits parcels B and C of the tract, and then about 25 acres is located to the south of Pottsville Road, which is the property that we're actually subdividing. What the intent is to subdivide the property into 2 essentially equal-sized lots, about 12.5 acres each. The intent is to be used for a single-family home. Kind of due to the location and the buildability of these lots do have some steep slopes along their frontages on Pottsville Road, but as they get to the southern parts of the lot, it's kind of the top of the hill. You actually have plateaus and a very nice view of the overlooking valley. So that's where the proposed home sites would be. So that being said, it makes sense to utilize on-site wells and septics versus public sewer. And so we're in the process of going through the sewage planning with the township and the DEP as part of the subdivision. That being said, there's a couple of waivers that we're asking for relative to the plan. Basically, one of the waivers was 344-201, dealing with preliminary improvements. Per your ordinance, if we're developing the land, there's certain features and certain information that needs to be shown. And what we're asking for is, since we're really not developing parcels B and C, which is on the north side of Pottsville Road, we're actually asking for that waiver to not show all the detailed information that would normally be shown in, say, a subdivision plan per se. And then also a waiver relative to 344-77, stormwater management plan. What we're asking for at this point is to not have to do that plan at this stage, but defer it to the building permit stage, and there is a note on the plan which basically says that. That being said, we did attend the planning workshop meeting. We did meet with the staff and Bill and talked about the plan. We did make some revisions to the plan from that meeting. We still have a few items left out there that needs to be cleaned up, but I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, and I know it's Bill's thunder.
Yeah, I'll just address the stormwater first. I mean, I think we've talked about that in the past, not knowing what type of house they're gonna build at this point. you know, I'm okay with that note that he puts on the plan, and I actually asked for him to request the waiver. And Jeremy knows that, you know, when a lot comes in like that, and they're gonna apply for a building permit, that they're gonna have to then complete stormwater at that point. And the other two waivers, I'm okay with those as well. Other than that, if you guys have any questions, that's really it.
Actually, Bill, there's two waivers on the plan, on page 1.
Yeah, there's two, and he's requesting a third.
Well, I actually pulled
Well,
one.
that should be on
Yeah,
page 1.
Yeah, I actually pulled the one waiver off, Bill, based upon the review, saying that the waiver to 34420A1 wasn't required. So I actually pulled that waiver.
Which one was that?
That was.
Site contact map?
Site context
Yeah,
map?
site context map.
Is that true, Bill, because the minor plan? I think it still would be required.
Yeah, it should be.
I don't think the
Did
size of the plan has anything to do with the
Yeah, the
site context map.
I misled you there first. The site contact map, you would need a waiver
Okay, there's no problem.
for. Which one was that?
It was 344-20A.
I know, but which comment that I'm looking in, is it in the letter that, most recent or the first?
It was your May 30th letter. so-
Yeah, he's right, that, the site context map is still required for the minor,
Okay.
but we do grant that waiver a lot, so.
Okay. So we're talking about 3 waivers then, site context map,
The preliminary improvements plan for B and C
and then the third one
would be the stormwater.
Stormwater man, okay. Do you have a number for that, Bill? The stormwater?
344-77.
344-77, okay.
Are they creating a separate deed for parcel B?
Yeah, what we have to do, and if you got a copy of York County Planning Commission comments, as we sat down at the workshop meeting, the weirdness of this thing, of course, is as far as the way the property is taxed, all 3 parcels are taxed under one UPI number.
Right.
And according to the county planning commission, they said, we can't do that. And so the last comment of the thing basically says we have to kind of recognize parcels B and C as separate parcels so we get their own UPI number. So that's what this subdivision.
He called it a correction plan in the meeting.
Yeah. They actually have a weird policy, and maybe Dale, you know about.
Well, I see, but it does have public sewer too. so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get that. The only thing, if you're gonna do an HOP for the other lots, you ought to do one for that one, because there's no access to it.
About the D and C.
He's good because of the house.
So they come off of Bamberger now.
I just
But
drove
B he's
there.
talking about.
Well, B is really not buildable. I mean, when it comes right down to it, to be honest with you, even though B is shown as a separate parcel.
If that's the case, why doesn't he add B to C? Because I talked to you about that in the meeting, I thought.
Well, we talked about putting a land strike there.
Right.
And we could, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if it's not buildable, why don't we just do that?
I mean, the majority of it, as you can see, is floodplain, and everything within that floodplain is pretty much wetland. So I don't have a problem with it. Yeah, we can make B and C a combined parcel, and
Yep.
that'll solve that problem.
Yeah. Cause it looked pretty, like, cause the stream's there, it doesn't look like you can get to it through Bamberg. And then it's rough getting there, but you, not much change.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing you'd probably use is like if you need green space or something like that, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, Mr. Hoover. Well, Bamberger Road, you have Nick Nichols, so that's his home, that's an existing home, right off Bamberger?
Correct.
Okay.
That's also gonna be a separate parcel.
Well, there's actually another parcel down there under his name that's a separate deed versus these 3 parcels.
Okay, it does say parcel A.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is parcel A, but it's his parcel.
Oh, it's not part of the deed.
Not part of the deed.
Okay.
That's what I was trying to get.
So, Bill, if you combine B and C together, well, they haven't, I guess they'll have to revise the deed, or when they draw it up, just make it,
Yeah, it'll have to be a consolidated deed versus the way it is now. It's a separate description for each of the parcels.
yeah. I'm still on page 2, note number 4, where's the location of the easements? I believe that was in, I see, that's in your notes?
That would be for the sanitary that's on C.
Oh, yeah, that's in your notes, but it says show the exact location, shown on parcel D, but where this is for the utility and easements, parcel D?
No, let's say D, because it's C.
This is,
Yeah, basically what my note said relative to 4 is because we were only looking at the development plan being parcel D, which is the south side of Potts Hill Road.
right,
As we came into the workshop meeting, and then we found out we have to kind of bring B and C more into the plan versus just informational. That's kind of where Bill's comment says easements and things like that. You know, there's public or private citizens who are kind of down to the pumping station, and then the pumping station doesn't even ever go.
but on, is that shown on page 3? Easements?
It will be eventually shown on page 2.
So it's not shown
It is
now.
not shown at this point.
So you're going to revise these plans?
Yeah, but Bill's going to assist me and give me a point, tell me where that sewer
Okay.
is, so I can show it, so.
So that will go on page 2. Also, you're going to revise the combined B and C.
Yeah, we'll have to,
Yeah.
it makes good sense what we're talking
Sure.
about tonight, just to kind of clean this thing up, call it one parcel, and have one UPI numbers on just that side of the road.
Okay. And also on your note, number 5 on page 2, your note dated June 5th, play module exemption, non-building waiver must be approved by the township and approved playing module on the cover, but I didn't see that. And you have the it's
He's
blank.
saying he will put that when he gets the number. He doesn't have it yet from DEP.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, all right.
the blanket's there to fill in, we just don't have it.
So, all right, so after you get the approval.
Correct.
Okay. After DEP. How long does that take for approval?
Well, unfortunately, when you get into these types of modules, which are considered to be component 2 modules, they're not exemption, they unfortunately take about 6 months to go through the process because it gets sent down to the county planning commission, that's 60 days to review and review the application.
Right.
So we'll probably have it in front of the board for their consideration of the resolution for the July meeting, and DEP has 75 days to review once they get it.
Okay.
So we'll probably see some kind of issue.
So this is for future development, is he talking about building any houses now at this time, or just, that's in the future?
Yeah, these
Some
lots
future
would
date?
just be sold off as building lots, and the new contractor, whomever, would decide where and what type of.
Okay. Oh, you know, one thing too, on your general notes of the plan on page 2, number 1, it says the purpose of this plan is subdivide parcel D into 2 lots and establish UPI numbers for B and C, so I think you'd have to might reword
Yeah, that.
general notes number 1.
Yeah, you're correct, so that note is gonna have to change the consolidation of parcels B and C into one lot.
All right, so you're gonna revise note 1, okay. Revise. Let's see.
Your proposed driveways, where you're showing they might impact the steep slopes, maybe you can move them to where they're.
Yeah, of course, we show those as being possible driveway locations, but I see what you're saying there, Dale, because, especially the driveway for lot D2, you have to go through steep slopes to get through it. Yeah, I just need to go out there and verify shifting it. We can still get our sight distance. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, the ones on page 3, right, Dale? Those, yeah, okay.
Or
I think, again, it comes down to that 25% slope and how much you can disturb and not disturb. And you got to do that balancing act, kind of. But I think just cutting the driveway through would still be okay, because as I was saying, you're going to have at least one cutback in these driveways coming up that hillside,
Yeah.
maybe even two.
Mhm.
It doesn't look too bad coming.
No, no.
Probably might,
On there.
probably might make sense to just move it upstream and across.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I just have to double check to make sure we have sight distance to the left end coming out. But to the right, we'd be good going up the hillside.
Yep.
But like I said, I'll give that a look at.
So, Bill, do you have anything further to add?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody else have any further questions? Because they're going to be voting versus on 3 waivers and then the plan. So, Dave, do you have anything to, questions? Jim?
No.
Jeff? Dale? Okay. All right. Okay, I think it's pretty straightforward. All right, so we're going to be voting on, let's see, 3 waivers. Would you want to just take them as one, vote on each individually, or just vote as one?
Make a motion that we vote on all waivers at the same time.
Okay. So that's going to be waivers 34420.E. Oh, if you just want to read them up, Dave, since you made the motion.
Waiver 344-20E, 344-201, and what's the one I'm missing, Chris? 344-71?
77.
77, I'm
Right,
sorry.
Okay. All right, so there's a motion on the floor for the 3 waivers. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, now, this will be for final minor subdivision plan for 1665 Bamberger Road. Is there a motion to approve the plan?
Recommend
Oh.
contingent upon the engineer's comment.
I make a motion, we recommend the approval upon completion of the engineer's comments.
Okay, there's a motion,
That's what we want. B and C, we want to combine
well, that would be part of the, or
Yeah,
is
I
there,
added that to my,
on that. Okay.
okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
see you, Chris.
Don't have to make any noise. Okay, next item on the agenda would be the driveway code restrictions.
Yeah, I'll go first, Mr. Chairman. The township,
Oh, could you state your name, please?
Anthony Miller, Township Manager. I live here 1915. The township has had multiple problematic issues with the way, or with the restrictions of our ordinance on driveway width, which you all have a copy of that code in front of you. Specifically, if you'd reference the second page, item 6, I believe, I'm looking at it, is the width of the driveway is restricted to 20 feet for the first 10 feet, which is inside the easement, and then they can make it wider after that. We've had, it's not only because of some people who have gone outside the 20 feet, but when people come looking for permits and they have a 2 or 3 car garage, they're beyond frustrated with that it's 20 feet because it's not wide enough for 2 and 3 car garages. And so we're not necessarily asking for any kind of change on setbacks or anything. We wanted to put before the planning commission before we went anywhere, and even to the board of supervisors, your feelings and if you would be supportive of making a change to that 20 feet. And Bill's going to speak a little bit more to that, but we have, like, ongoing Lexington Estates has multiple configurations of homes with 2 and 3 car garages, and some of the garages are face the side of the building and whatnot, and the 20 feet is just very restrictive. So we're not here tonight to tell you what we want to make it. We just want to say, you know, we'd like to entertain an opportunity to go before the board, but we want the planning commission's feelings before that. So,
Yeah, so, I mean, like Tony said, you know, we just wanted to get your feelings on it first. You know, the process would be, you know, if everybody's interested in changing it, you know, then we'd go through the process of actually drafting the change and then bringing it back before you. But this is kind of like, is anyone even interested in changing it? Because we don't want to spend the time to, you know, draft a change to the ordinance and then people be like, why are we changing it? You know, so I think the first step tonight is, what do you guys think? And what do you want us to look at? We've looked at some other ordinances, you know, we see 25 some places. You know, I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking. I think that was one that Jeremy actually found. So really, it's just it's open for discussion, what your guys' feelings are on it.
So you just want to make the entrances wider?
People are asking for wider entrances. 20 feet, you know, you get 2 cars parked on a driveway.
So right now it says, within 10 feet of the right-of-way of an intersecting street.
And I think he
Driveway should
provided
be
you some
10,
pictures
so-
of
Yeah,
actually some
we
driveways
saw it.
in Lexington.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
So why was this brought up, Tony? I mean, is this been like ongoing or recent about this?
I mean, I feel like it seems to be I don't know if it's a matter of contention, but it's just like, there's a lot of people come in and say, I don't need a permit to put my driveway in, and when they find out it's 20 feet, they go, well, you know, that's not wide enough.
I personally would be okay with 12 foot, so that would be a 24-foot wide driveway. The lanes on the interstate are 12 foot wide, so I don't think we should be going any bigger than 2. If you got 6 cars, you figure out how to get your cars in there,
Sure.
is my opinion. But if I'm thinking, in my opinion, is 12 foot,
I mean, that sounds
20
reasonable. and-
24 foot is, I think, more than enough room.
And I believe, again, if the ordinance itself only restricts it to that for 10 feet, correct?
Correct, so what you'd have to do is essentially, after you went that 10 feet, then you could widen out whatever you need to get into a 3-car garage.
It's been a while since I did HOP, so I can't remember what we were allowed to do.
But we can,
with my
you know,
current-
if you guys are
or my-
interested in changing it, I think what we'd do is we'd do a little research and, you know, hey, this is what we're seeing places, you know, what do you want to change it to?
In my opinion, again, my
24.
opinion only, the more cars we get off the street and into driveways, the better off we are throughout the township.
Completely agree, because that's what's going to happen. If we don't allow to widen it, they're going to have to park along the street, and that's when we end up with issues, you know.
Well, you know, if you have 3 or 4 cars, what happens in some families, you know, you're going to have, they probably use the garage, and then somebody's going to have to move their car. So, I mean, still going to have park on the street, so I don't know if that solves it. But this says, within 10 feet of the right-of-way of an intersecting street, the driveway shall be between 10 and 20 feet. And Dave, you're saying between like 10 and 24 feet would be the width. Okay, all right.
Yeah, but beyond 10 feet of the right-of-way, you can widen out to 30 feet.
50 feet, whatever you want to do, if you want to
As long as you can meet, as long as you can meet the lot coverage requirements.
And probably some lots where people have home-based businesses and that sort of thing, you know, where they're driving trucks in their yards and that sort of thing. Maybe you could allow for bigger, wider.
Is this like a major issue, or just people bring it up and I mean, it's not, I'm saying, it's like, is it a infrequent question about it, or? Oh, it has been?
Yes. Yeah, and, you know, I think fortunately, some of the contractors have put in driveways that exceed the 20 feet, and then other people come in for a permit, we say, no, it's 20 feet. They'll say, well, hey, I got 3 houses on my street that have 25-foot driveways, you know? And really, if we were to enforce that, we'd be citing them and saying you have to tear it up.
Tear it
right,
up, yeah,
For the
sure.
10 feet.
Yeah.
And because that, it's kind of enlightened the three of us to say, maybe this needs to change, you know, the 20 feet's just not quite enough. 24 absolutely sounds good to me. That makes sense. That's 2 lanes of traffic, and I would point out as well, when you say about parking the street, and that the township has put restrictions on several streets. There's no parking on one side, and then it's all on one side, and then, you know, if somebody's got a narrow driveway, they can't, you know, put 2 cars side by side.
Is that by the golf course, Tony?
I'm sorry?
Is that by the golf course, where they have the one?
Well,
no
my
parking?
street is, but I mean, North Crest in Ridge, it's not Ridgeview, but, oh my gosh, Research Estates, and, yeah, they were done way before my street, but there was a whole list of just 1 lane parking.
And a lot of what we have to remember while we're sitting here is when these driveway ordinances were looked at the last time, which I got a saying for that, but I won't. Mom didn't have a car, and every kid living in the house didn't have a car. And we kind of have to, again, move up to the year 2000.
Well, if we decide to change it, like I was thinking about you said, Tony, if we did enforce it, have to tear up like 4 feet or whatever it is, that excess. Can maybe, if we decide to do that, have the wording say after a certain date? Because we don't want to tear up people's homes or people's
No,
driveways.
and
no.
that's
But
absolutely
I mean,
correct.
maybe after a certain date, or, you know, this way the builders are aware of it, they're going to put homes in, that it has to be.
People might want to expand it. So if they could expand Valley Green Townhouse to parking, that place is a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, you still have, you know, there's a requirement that the driveway has to be so far from the property line, which I wouldn't change that. So you're still gonna need a certain width of drive, you know, width of lot to be able to,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you might have people coming existing saying, hey, I want it.
I think that's what, it sounded like you guys would be interested in hearing more, like, telling the board that you're interested in pursuing, you know, changing it. So I think the next step would be, you know, the planning commission's interested in it, we'd go to the board and say, hey, planning commission's interested in changing this, what do you guys think? And then if they say yes, then we'll initiate that process.
So do you want to write some up prior to our next meeting? And then, this way we can review it, and
Yeah,
I can email something.
yeah,
So that I understand this, all we're saying is we want to widen the entrance to driveways from 20, to allow from 20 to 24 feet. And we have constituents that are concerned because the 20 feet is not wide enough so that they can legitimately park off the street. And you're telling me that people are saying that I'm gonna do it anyhow, it's just it won't be macadamed or it won't be stoned in. So I'm gonna park in my own grass 4 feet, and I'm concerned for that
That's
because the
that's a-
township doesn't.
That's
like
an
that.
argument that we can't get involved in. If you want to park in your yard,
Well,
I don't know, there's a whole lot that we can do to stop that.
We're just
But what
talking
we're trying to
from the
do is
road.
make driveways that are accessible. The business that I'm in, everybody complains because parking spaces are only 9 feet wide. So if you go with 10 feet, you have 2 pickup trucks, it's gonna be tough parking side by side. If you go 12 feet, that's the width of a lane on the interstate. It's easy, ride up down the road, you can see how wide you're allowed to go with your driveway.
my next question would be, assuming that works out, 24 feet, so that it can be macadam now or stone there, so it meets a township new regulation or new requirement, okay, for a truck or somebody pulling in. Is there a requirement for how close they can park to the white line or to the street itself, the public street? Can you just park, stop right there at the line?
Well, we have,
We
I mean-
we have ordinances, I'm pretty sure, that cover that.
Yeah.
It has to be beyond the sidewalk,
Beyond the right of way.
or
I don't
beyond,
have a
beyond,
sidewalk.
or beyond the right-of-way line, like Dale said, beyond the right-of-way line.
Okay, so it would be, so you can't, oh gee, Centerville, there's, that's, everybody's parking in there, because they have because they have 2 or 3 cars, all right? And some of those cars are not within, are closer than the right-of-way.
within our township streets, like in a development, depending on the width, it's either no parking, parking on one side, or parking on both sides, depending on the width of the street.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying, I don't have a problem 24 feet, okay? I'm just saying, why all of a sudden is just 24 feet wide enough? Because then you're gonna have people coming in saying, I have 3 cars, and I wanted mine wider.
This is
And
just
I've
the
got the
entrance.
land.
They can,
Once they get across
the
the right,
entrance, then they can.
once they get across the right-of-way,
I can say.
they can make that thing as,
And we did that at our house, okay? We have the driveway and then it widens that way, like it was stated, and that, we don't have a problem with that. But then our driveway is quite longer than the length of a car, so we can do that. But what I'm saying is, we're trying to satisfy some people by saying, let's make it 2-car width. What do we do about the people that say, I want 3-car width, because I have 3 cars, all right? And then, then how are we going to also say, now you have 3 cars, I wanna make sure that you're so far away from the, what was, the right of way in there too. So now, you got them off the street, that's good, but still, because of right of way, they're parking too close to the street. Now you got 3 cars there like that, or 2 cars.
They'd be blocking the sidewalk.
Okay, but aside from, okay, I see that point from a development, but what if it's not a development, like Hennerville with all those cars down there? If we're gonna address it, I'm just saying, let's address it.
But Henderville might be limited by property rights.
Well, the houses aren't very wide, you're right. You're right, but they're saying, the people are saying, that's too bad, I've got 2 cars, and again, I'm gonna park on my grass, okay, and I'm gonna do it that way. And I'm just simply saying, if we're gonna address the issue, we should address the issue. But,
So maybe we can come up with an
No.
example that can show you that they could get 3 cars still with the 24. We'll look at that.
Well, you also have to consider houses with just a 1-car drive, 1-car garage. They might have a number of vehicles, of course, you might have several drivers. But I don't think I'd like to see a house with a 1-car garage with a driveway 3 cars wide. I don't. And Dave, I just saw presently in the ordinance, a parking lot space like 9 feet by 15 feet? 18? How about make the parking space wider, to say 10 by 18? Maybe look into something like that?
well, I can explain that to you.
Okay.
Back in the day, parking spaces were 10 by 20. Okay? and I know that I'm going to get a blast on this, everybody thought we had to have green space,
Impervious surfaces.
impervious surfaces. So when we started putting all these little planning things and all that stuff in shopping centers, the ordinances still required so many parking spaces. So you gave up space size so that you could have green space in a parking lot.
So that's the reason why, okay.
So we
I
should
figured there's always,
consider-
always something.
So Dave, should we consider something along those lines, expanding what's been suggested here to include other things?
You mean like a
I
parking lot?
don't know that we
How far
want
do we wanna
to,
go?
well, that's just it. We can't fix what's already here.
No.
Okay, so we're
No,
not,
we
we're
can't
not
do
trying to fix what's already
No,
here.
no, what's there is there.
But in order to put in the developments or wherever, the curbs are already in. So if you come in later on and you want to do that, it's a ton of money, because now you got to bust the curb out,
Right.
redo the curbs for one more parking space.
So-
They're
so
going to
we-
park on the street.
We don't wanna do that, or,
No.
yeah, make them change what they already have. Well, I guess my concern, what I'd like to see along with this widening of the entrance from 20 to 24, or larger, I don't care. All right, I would like to see in that stipulation, either recommendation or brought back to the reference that we be concerned about also the right-of-way from the street. So if we're gonna go width, I'd also like, because I don't wanna see two cars now, where one car can fit in, now we put two cars.
No, I'm following you.
But we're not concerned about from the road,
No, I'm following you. We'll look at that as well.
you see what I mean?
Yep.
And again, our setbacks now are a lot different than they were 25 years ago. So now, I think our setbacks are far enough off of the road that you can back up and still provide enough room for the right-of-way. That's why we can't try to fix what's already there, we're just trying to improve what we got now.
Okay. But still
We'll take a look at it.
okay, that's all I'm saying, thank you. And that'll take care of the concern for at least some people that want a wider entrance. Not everybody, because some people want 3, 4, 5, I don't know, entrances, whatever your concern was. That will,
There'll be one entrance, Jeff. Well, one drive.
I know, but the entrance is wider, and that's what the concern was, that's the reason why I brought it up. is
Yeah.
people- I'm just saying, is that gonna take care of the concern for a majority?
I think if we went 24 feet, it would address this. And I don't think that we're looking to make it as wide as a three-car garage. And I think 24 feet addresses what we're looking for. And there's people out there that, I mean, we have a chicken ordinance, lets you have 6 chickens. They all want 20. And they want,
Yeah.
the next guy wants 21, so it's,
Right. that's-
Everything else,
I mean, it is what it is, but I think we're just trying to address like one little issue to say we could probably widen this a little bit. It would solve a lot of issues, I think, when people want to put a driveway in.
And is this an ordinance, or what are we talking about?
We change an ordinance.
Part of the what? I'm sorry.
It's, what's the first page? It's a driveway ordinance.
Section of the driveway.
Yeah, on page 1, Jeff.
These are,
This is just for single-family dwellings only.
Yes, it's all spelled out for townhomes and that. We're not looking to change any of that.
Just single-family homes. Okay.
Yes, sir. Next.
Okay, so Bill, you'll write something up and then prior to our next meeting, whatever date that is, okay. All right,
It's not an emergency issue. Yes, sir.
okay, anything else?
just for the township. That's what we should do.
Thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn,
I'll make that motion.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
we have the greenhouse situation for next month?
Yes, they won't make the cutoff, and we get going, and they,
If they expect to be there
late,
for next
they'll
month?
be here then. I get this.
I just have one more question with that, and then, do we know, last meeting,